Greetings, everybody. It is I, the Nomad, coming to you once again from the wastelands of the internet. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have returned. Now, for those who don't know, I went to see my mother. She was very sick, and while she was there, she died. My mother has passed away, and I was there to see her goodbye, and also to make sure that the funeral, to go through the funeral and everything with my siblings. So that's why there wasn't any content. To be honest, we were a bit busy trying to, deal with the situation as it is. All right. Um, so unfortunately, this is probably going to happen again, right, in the fairly near future. Um, Mainly because my father he's in the latter stages of dementia. So quite frankly, they think it's just a matter of time for him. So it is what it is. It's the way life is. Life goes on. I'm just going to do an abbreviated version. All right, we'll have some stories, just some quick stories that some people have been talking about, just so I can, get back into the swing of things. And I'm not going to keep you all here very long. I see you, Matt Barkley. I see you, Chris. Hopefully, hopefully everything's going all right with you guys. All right, but let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Secret Service agents protecting Naomi Biden, right, fired shots after attempted vehicle break-in. Let's take a look at this. Secret Service agents tasked with protecting President Joe Biden's granddaughter Naomi Biden opened fire after people attempted a break-in into an unmarked agency vehicle in Washington D.C. The agent saw three people breaking a window of a parked and unoccupied Secret Service vehicle while out with Naomi Biden in the Georgetown neighborhood on Sunday night. One of the agents opened fire with his service weapon, and it is believed no one was struck by the gunfire. Secret Service said in a statement. Really? You have Secret Service agents. One of them decides to open fire, but nobody was injured. Really? Um, why would you admit to that? If I was Naomi Biden, I'd be looking around going, "What did I get? The second class freaking Biden, or the second class Secret Service here? I got Secret Service that can hit the broadside of a barn." Two to three people fled the scene in a red vehicle. Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi, I'm assuming that's how it's Guglielmi. Uh, I'm not trying to butcher your name. Guglielmi. I don't know. All right. Said on Monday, the Secret Service has put out a regional bulletin in the Metropolitan Police Department to be on the lookout for the car. And we see his statement. Our preliminary statement on a weapon discharge following a break in into a Secret Service vehicle. Two to three suspects fled the scene in a vehicle, and a regional bulletin has been issued to supporting units. DC Police Department are investigating the incident. Carjackings have been on the rise in DC, surging 250% in the past 5 years. There have been over 750 reported carjackings this year. 75% of the carjackings in the city involved guns, according to the Washington data. Motor vehicle theft is up 98%. And hopefully your mother gets better. Yes, Mr. Barkley. The radiation is rough. Chemo is rough, on patients. I hope she comes through it all right. Uh, Maddie's been going through that now. She's going through a second dose of chemo to try and get the remnants of her cancer taken care of. Hopefully that'll all turn out well. Okay. Um, it's a tough thing to lose. Obviously, a parent. It's a tough thing to lose any loved one. Right. Regardless of whether or not they're your parent, your grandparent, your daughter, or even a good friend. But good luck to you all. May God hold you in your hands. Anyway, I gotta be questioning just how good these Secret Service agents are. If you have the drop on somebody and you don't put them down, I'm sorry, but I've got a question. I got to question how well they're trained. I've got to question just who these guys were, right? Are you worthy of the Secret Service detail if you fire around and don't put somebody down? What are you just going to do? Pray and spray? The standard police officer mentality. And I've also got a question where the rest of the Secret Service agents were, because obviously this was a different Secret Service agent vehicle, all right, that was being broken into. How did these guys get away? I'm serious. I'm not sure. Something doesn't sound right here. I'm just pointing this out. Maybe it's just me, but something definitely isn't kosher here. Don't know what it is. Not making any accusations. Just trying to point it out. That's all. Just trying to point it out. Let's go to the next story, shall we? FBI agents stopped New York City Mayor Eric Adams in the middle of the street and seized his cell phones and iPad days after a raid on his chief fundraiser's home over bribes. FBI agents seized New York City Mayor Eric Adams' cell phone and an iPad after stopping him in the middle of the street following a raid on his fundraising chief. Last week, Adams rushed back home from D.C. after the raid on his longtime confidant and top fundraiser Brianna Suggs, 25, as part of an investigation into an alleged kickback scheme tied to the Turkish government and others. After the news of his devices being seized broke, Adams told CNN he had nothing to hide. Hey, Eric, just a piece of advice. You know why this is happening to you, right? For those who don't know, the only reason, hey, RVA, how's it going? I'm just trying to put it here. Just trying to put it out here. The only reason this guy is getting raided is he is off the reservation when it comes to immigration. If he was on the reservation for immigration, all right, just trying to just bury what's happening in New York, all right, and tell people, oh no, we've got to be accommodating, it wouldn't be a problem. He embarrassed the Bidens. He's embarrassed the Democrat Party. Okay. Time for an investigation into you. Oh, what should it be this time? We'll just spin the wheel of luck. Excuse me, not the wheel of luck. The wheel of corruption, because that's what it is. What are we going to accuse Eric Adams of? Bribery! Yes, he was taking bribes from the Turkish government. Now, they can spin that wheel, and they can make these accusations because they know whatever it lands on is accurate. They know. Right? Regardless of what crime it is they're going to accuse him of, they know it's accurate because they've all been doing it. This is nothing new. And now he's acting like, there's not a problem here. You're toast, buddy, because you went off the reservation. If you don't get back on the immigration reservation, you are done. And look at this picture of him at this press conference. Just look at how happy he is, and then look at the people next to him. They look like they're so happy with what's been going on. Gee, and this is the fundraiser, Brianna Suggs, right? Does it look like that he was trying to run a harem and the other harem members were not too happy about it? Isn't that what that looks like to you? After learning of the federal investigation, it was discovered that an individual had recently acted improperly. So, how did the investigation get started? What made them go into this investigation? Somebody want to tell me? Hey, Sean, how's it going? Somebody want to clue me in as to what was important that they had to go into and do an investigation on? After learning of a federal investigation, what prompted the federal investigations? Well, I'd like to know. I think I do know. Biden going, they embarrassed me. They embarrassed Pudding Pop. They embarrassed the Pudding Pop. We can't have that. I'm the big guy. I'm the big guy. We need this investigation now. We need to find out what's going on with this creep. He's making us look bad. Meanwhile, behind public assurances, this is Dunya's. All right. Behind the public assurances, Xi Jinping spread grim views on the U.S. Really, a communist leader talking shit about the United States. Breaking news, folks! The communist leader talking shit about the United States. Really? When President Xi Jinping of China, you mean the People's Republic of China, made his first state visit to the United States in 2015, he wrapped his demands for respects in reassurances. He courted tech executives, meaning he strong-armed tech executives. You better play ball. You better come to me. You better come to me with a real proposition. If you want to play here in China, you better come to me with either bags of cash or technical data that we've been looking for to on stealth and so forth to bring it back. If you don't want to have some problems. He courted tech executives while defending China's internet controls. He denied that China was militarizing the disputed China Sea while he puts in missile systems, while he runs subs, all right, and attempts to destroy submarines of the British, all right, only to capture his own subs and kill 50 of his own sailors. But we're not militarizing. We're not militarizing the sea. All right, he spoke hopefully of a new model for great power relations in which Beijing and Washington coexist as peaceful equals. But back in China, in meetings with the military, Xi Jinping was warning in striking stark terms of intensifying competition between a rising China and a long dominant United States was all but unavoidable. It is inevitable. Conflict is inevitable. And it is. He's not wrong about that. In order for China to continue to survive, they're going the route of pre-World War II Germany. All right. You got to expand in order to keep the population at home happy or at least under control. You've got to expand. China cannot feed itself. So it's got to sit up there and secure these resources. So where's it getting the food from right now? It's getting it through Russia right now, to be honest. Russia is sending foodstuffs to China to keep their peoples placated, and they're still suffering because everything in the economy around the world is coming to a collapse, and every nation, especially the EU, have put up walls and barriers to anything that smells of China. So what did China do in response? China sit up there and said, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to start withholding the rare earth minerals you guys need for your green power. And what's the result? Germany decided, okay, well, we talked a good game on green power while we build coal plants left and right. That's what's been happening in Western Europe. We can't have nuclear power. Okay, we're going to build coal plants. Why? Because this green energy shit just doesn't work, for one thing. The idea that you're going to go electric, France is basically telling their people, we're not going to give you the fuel you need to move around. You guys are just going to have to stay in place and be happy with it. Damn serfs. Damn peasants. The peasants stink on ice. That's what they've come back with. Hey, TC, good afternoon. How's it going? You better play with my boss. So Xi Jinping is surprising everybody, right? Then you have stupid stories like this one. Restoring nature is possible, but we must work together. Really. Restoring nature is possible, but we must work together. Restoring nature to what? Do you realize, you clown, right? And this is from Business News, that there's no such thing as restoring nature because nature is constantly moving, constantly growing, constantly shifting, constantly changing. It's like talking about the environment. We gotta repair the environment. From what? The environment has always changed. The environment is what it is. But it's never been static. This week marks another busy week on the sustainability circuit here in Brussels. At Political Sustainability Future Week, businesses and lawmakers exchange views and ideas for a sustainable future. Sustainable for what? What are you trying to sustain? So basically what you're saying is no more growth. How are you going to convince China that? Xi Jinping is going to accept this? India is going to accept it, the two biggest polluters in the world. You guys talk about sustainability all you want. The two biggest polluters you do nothing for. So how do you plan to do that? This year, as its main sponsor of the event, Coca-Cola in Europe Coca-Cola, will highlight the importance of multi-stakeholding partnerships that can scale up solutions. Give me a solution. Tell me what the problem is, and then give me the solution to it. I would love to hear this. All right. Long-term positive impacts for nature restoration and the protection of essential ecosystems. Essential ecosystems across the wider interconnected sustainability agenda. Let me ask a question for all these people out here, for all these clowns that are doing this. Are any of the critical, any of these essential ecosystems, are any of them in Europe? Are any of them in the United States? Okay. Are any of them in China and India? I'm just curious where all these quote unquote essential ecosystems are located. They're just verbiage. There was verbiage that doesn't mean anything. Together with long-standing Coca-Cola Europe partner Global Conservation Organization, the WWF, all right, Central Eastern Europe, WWF-CEE, we will share outcomes and learnings of our 8-year partnership to conserve and restore vital wetlands, floodplains, and ecosystems along the Danube River. So there is an ecosystem along the Danube. You mean the most polluted river in the world? Well, it's not really the most polluted because that's actually the Yangtze and the Yalu River. All right, but the Danube is what are you going to do to fix the Danube? Please, I would love to know. It's been one of the major waterways and arteries for transportation of goods, all right, for over 100 and something years. How do you plan to fix it? The WWF CEE firmly believes that conservation of life on Earth is possible. Uh, what? Life on Earth is not threatened by this. None of this is threatening life on Earth. Life will continue. The giant space rock which whacked the dinosaurs and whacked us back into an ice age, the likes of which we have never witnessed. If the Earth and life can survive that, it can survive us. Okay? I just want you to understand that. The world is experiencing increased water scarcity, with demands for safe, usable water exceeding the supply in certain areas. Oh, you mean droughts? Something that has happened forever? Something that has been around for the beginning of time is where the world is now experiencing it. It's been experiencing it. It has never stopped experiencing it. Oh my God. In a story to make people happy, migrant family journeys back to Venezuela. More leaving Chicago as winter looms. The American dream does not exist anymore. What, do you think Chicago is going to be warm in the winter? Did you think that being on the equator was going to be the same as living in Chicago? Really? Over the past 5 months since arriving in Chicago, Andrea Carolina Sevella's parents have been unable to enroll her in school, even though the reason they left everything behind in their native Venezuela was for her to have access to a better education. In Venezuela, she said she was lucky. She could even attend school. Many other teenagers start working at an early age to help out their families, who often face extreme poverty. But she did not have the same luck in the city that she once dreamed of visiting. The family went from sleeping on the floor of a police station to a crowded shelter to a house in the far south side, and then back to the floor of the police station after her stepfather, Michael Castiglione, 39, couldn't afford the rent. He could not find a job that paid enough without a work permit, he said. No shit, really? Really? So, in other words, he came to Venezuela as a migrant, not as a refugee. He came to Venezuela or to the United States from Venezuela because he wanted to migrate and take over and take money away from Americans and live high on the hog on the American dole. And then found out, oh shit, I can't live in Chicago. No one can live in Chicago. Really? On November 3rd, they set out from Texas. And from there, they would go to Venezuela, the country they fled to seek asylum. You weren't seeking asylum from Venezuela, though. You had no reason to leave. One family of 5 left for Detroit because another migrant told them that there was work there. One man went back to Texas where he will join his cousins after trying his luck in Chicago. Yeah, life sucks in Chicago. That's what it came down to. And the free lunch, we're taking care of their people. This is how you're taking care of them? Hey, Brandon. Try New York. Eric Adams says that you're welcome. Oh, wait a minute, Eric Adams. Now you're going to move back home, huh? Head on back to Venezuela? Margaret said they realize it after the city is at the breaking point. Not only is there no more space in shelters, they also acknowledge that some of the residents in Chicago oppose the opening of more shelters for them. No shit, really? You guys are a bunch of invaders into people's areas, and they're freaking suffering already, and you want to say, "Hey, wait a minute, what about me?" Right? Give everything to us. They're treating us like immigrants. No shit, really? You came there to steal their jobs. You came there to make their lives miserable. And lo and behold, they don't like you. You don't speak the language. You're not part of the culture because you want to bring the freaking Marxist hellscape over into Chicago and then realize, oh shit, it's already here. The hellscape that we wanted to bring to you all is already flourishing here in the United States. What a surprise! Weather didn't exist before the Industrial Revolution. Oh, I should have known. Don't forget about those biodegradable bullets and missiles. Be happy living in a 15-minute city and eating the bugs. They're trying to sustain cash flow. That's basically it. Chicago's at the breaking point. People or the residents of the city are freaking pissed off. No shit. Really. This surprises you. In another non-surprise of the world, at SpaceX, workers' injuries soar in Elon Musk's rush to Mars. Reuters documented at least 600 previously unreported workplace injuries at Musk's rocket company. Crushed limbs, amputations, electrocutions, head and eye wounds, and one death. SpaceX employees say they are paying the price for the billionaire's push to colonize space at a breakneck speed. Oh, electrocutions. On one windy night at Elon Musk's SpaceX facility in McGregor, Texas, Lonnie LeBlanc and his co-workers realized they had a problem. Really. They needed to transport foam insulation to the rocket company's main hangar, but had no straps to secure the cargo. LeBlanc, a relatively new employee, offered the solution to hold down the load. He sat on it. After the truck drove away, a gust blew LeBlanc and the insulation off the trailer, slamming him headfirst into the pavement. LeBlanc, 38, had retired 9 months earlier from the Marine Corps. He was pronounced dead from head trauma at the scene. Sounds like he opted out of the gene pool at the wrong freaking time. That sounds like something that we used to do all the time. Okay? Anybody who didn't think that foam insulation was going to sit up there in heavy winds, throw you off. Federal inspectors at OSHA, all right, later determined that SpaceX had prevailed to protect LeBlanc from a clear hazard, noting the gravity and severity of the violation. LeBlanc's coworkers told OSHA that SpaceX had no convenient access to tie down and no process or oversight for handling such loads. You're going to tell me somebody didn't think, hey, wait a minute, let's go to Home Depot and get some straps? Nobody had the authority to run to Home Depot and said, wait a minute, I'm going to go get some freaking tie-down straps. Is that what you're trying to say? Nobody has ever transported this kind of stuff before. Really? Is this what you're trying? The only reason they're bitching about this is because it's Elon Musk and they're trying to do everything again. It was hardly the last serious accident at SpaceX since LeBlanc's death in June of 2014. Oh my God, this is close to 10 years ago, which hasn't been previously reported. Musk's rocket company has disregarded worker safety regulations and standard practices at its inherently dangerous rocket and satellite facilities nationwide, with workers paying a heavy price. Through interviews and government records, the organization has documented at least 600 injuries at SpaceX workers since 2014. Many of them were serious or disabling. Records include reports of more than 100 workers suffering from cuts or lacerations, 29 with broken bones or dislocations, 17 whose hands and fingers were crushed, 9 with head injuries, 1 skull fracture, 4 concussions, and 1 traumatic brain injury. The cases also included 5 burns, 5 electrocutions, 8 accidents which led to amputations, 12 injuries involving multiple unspecific body parts, and 7 workers with eye injuries. Others were relatively minor, including more than 170 of strains and sprains. Look, you're moving heavy equipment around. This happens all the time, folks. You're building things. You're doing construction work, heavy construction work. You're working with electrical systems. People get shocked. What a surprise. Often undertrained and overtired staff routinely skip basic security or safety procedures. No shit. This happens, again, all the time. If you're expecting there to be a workforce and people not to get hurt, right, over a 9-year span, you're kidding yourself. There are plenty of people who get hurt. Now, are there safe ways to do some of the stuff? Yeah, there are. But you know what? A lot of times, a lot of these things, because they're on the cutting edge, right? They're doing things and moving stuff for the first time, and they haven't sat down to figure all of it out yet on the best way to move some of this stuff. Like foam insulation. This guy, let me tell you right now, you're in Texas and nobody thought to go run and go get some rope. You're going to tell me the Home Depot down the street didn't have rope? So the guy volunteered to sit on it and then got blown off because he was a dumbass. That's what you're looking at, folks. All right, final story of the day, to be honest, because I've got things to do, and like I said, this is going to be a very quick one. From the Wall Street Journal. Strip clubs, lewd photos, and a boozy hotel. The toxic atmosphere at the bank regulator. Employees say sexual harassment and misogyny pervade the federal agency tasked with ensuring the stability of banks and driving women to leave. Does anybody even even find this story freaking laughable? Aside from me, a male Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation supervisor in San Francisco, all right, invited employees to a strip club. A supervisor in Denver had sex with his employees, told other employees about it, and pressed her to drink whiskey during the work. Senior bank examiners texted female employee photos of their penises. Would you guys go to the Brett Favre study of how to engage with people? Are you people stupid? So, in other words, a bunch of federal, and these are, I know the FDIC is technically an independent company. It's a federal agency, folks. For all intents and purposes, this is a federal agency, and there has been no one, all right, in oversight over them, and they sit up there, our minders in Congress. We've got to protect these banks from ever doing these kind of shady deals again. We'll put the CDC on them. We'll put the FDIC on them. We'll sick anybody in the federal government on it because well, they're so much better at this. Does this surprise anybody? Federal examiners left the CDC because they say they were sexualized. It was a sexualized boy club environment, and they believe they were constantly given fewer opportunities than their male counterparts, according to interviews with more than 100 current and former employees, including more than 20 women who quit while traveling to banks across the country where regulators are meant to evaluate the bank's financial stability and compliance with regulations. Male examiners talked openly about female colleagues' appearances. A former female employee recalled that her male colleagues saying that women needed to use sex to get ahead at the FDIC as they stared at her. Well, the first question I have is what was this? Was the male employee post-op or pre-op? It was San Francisco. Is the woman that's complaining? Was that just her time of the month, or was it, you know, her time of the month and she was upset because she wasn't getting? Did you just wake up one day and decide I was going to be a female and go through all this process? And was it tough on her? Is that what it was? Should I not be pointing these things out? You're saying this is sexual harassment in San Francisco. Hello, Jensen. I'm wrapping this up. That was the final story. And the main reason I'm wrapping this up, to be honest, is I'm doing this during my lunchtime, and so I'm taking this as a lunchtime thing, and I have to get back to work. But I just wanted to do something that because we hadn't done anything in a while. I might depend upon the comments you guys make and leave if you don't mind. Leave some comments telling me how well you like the this kind of a format at this time, and whether or not you think that I should go with it more, or whether I should be doing it early mornings during the week rather than just on the weekends and just doing a weekend wrap up. I'd appreciate your input. Now, like I said, just remember there's a lot of things that do happen, and if I end up having to go away for a little bit because of work or other emergency related things, just let you know. I will post things to Jensen. Jensen will let you guys know what's happening to me, if anything has happened to me. Assuming that something hasn't happened to Jensen, all right, in the meantime. So thank you all for coming. Unfortunately, I've got to leave now, but I do appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye bye, everybody.